Marcus Cole wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked up at the two suns burning in the orange sky. His throat was dry. His muscles hurt. He'd been digging for 2 days now, and his body was screaming at him to stop. But he could not stop. Not when his scanner showed something buried 12 meters below the sand. Something made of a metal that his computer did not recognize. Something that could be worth enough credits to fix his dying ship and maybe, just maybe, give him a reason to keep flying. Catherine 7 was a dead world. The Galactic Concord had tried to build a colony here 200 years ago, but they failed. The planet was too hot, too dry, too far from everything. Now only scavengers came here, picking through the bones of abandoned buildings and forgotten machines. Marcus was one of those scavengers. He had been doing this work for 8 years, flying from dead world to dead world, finding old technology and selling it to survive. It was not a glamorous life, but it was his life. Or at least, it used to be his life with his crew. 3 months ago, pirates had attacked his ship near the Vega corridor. His crew of 4 did not survive. Marcus escaped alone, with a broken ship and a broken heart. Now, he worked alone. He slept alone. He flew alone. Some nights, the silence was so heavy that he could barely breathe. His shovel hit something hard. Marcus dropped to his knees and began brushing away the sand with his hands. His heart was beating fast now. After 2 days of digging under burning suns, he had finally reached it. The crate was black, completely black, like a piece of the night sky had fallen and buried itself in the desert. It was about 2 meters long and 1 meter wide. There were no marks on it, no writing, no symbols. Just smooth, dark metal that seemed to eat the light around it. Marcus touched the surface. It was cold. Even under 2 suns, even buried in hot sand for who knows how long, the metal was ice cold. "What are you?" He whispered. And then something impossible happened. A voice appeared in his mind. Not in his ears. In his mind. It was soft, tired, and filled with a sadness so deep that Marcus felt his chest tighten. "Please, don't open this. Walk away. Forget you found me." Marcus jumped back so fast that he fell into the sand. His heart was pounding. His hands were shaking. He looked around, searching for the source of the voice, but there was nothing. Just him, the sand, and the black crate. What the hell? He gasped. The voice came again, weaker this time. "I am begging you. Leave this place. There is nothing here for you but death and sorrow." Marcus stared at the crate. His mind was racing. He had heard stories about ancient technology that could speak directly into thoughts. The old empires had built many strange things before they fell. But he had never believed those stories were true. Until now. Every part of his training told him to run. Strange alien technology was dangerous. Unknown voices in your head were dangerous. Smart scavengers walked away from things they did not understand. But Marcus did not walk away. Maybe it was because he had nothing left to lose. Maybe it was because he had spent 3 months alone with his grief, and any voice, even a strange one, was better than silence. Or maybe it was because he heard something in that voice that he recognized. Fear, loneliness, pain. He knew those feelings very well. Marcus sat down in the sand, cross-legged, facing the crate. The suns were beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of red and purple. He pulled out his water bottle, took a small sip, and placed his hands on his knees. Why not? He asked. Silence. The wind blew sand across the desert. The temperature began to drop. Marcus did not move. "I asked you a question," he said. "Why shouldn't I open it? What's inside?" More silence. Marcus waited. He was good at waiting. When you spend months alone in space, you learn patience. You learn that sometimes the universe takes its time answering your questions. An hour passed. The first sun disappeared below the horizon. The second sun followed slowly, turning the world into shades of gray and shadow. 2 hours passed. Stars began to appear in the sky, more stars than Marcus had ever seen on any planet. Catherine 7 had no city lights, no pollution, nothing to hide the beauty of the galaxy above. 3 hours passed. Marcus's legs were numb. His back ached. But he did not move. Finally, just when he was beginning to think he had imagined the whole thing, the voice returned. "You are still here." It was not a question. It was a statement filled with confusion. "I am," Marcus replied. "Why?" "I told you to leave. I warned you." Marcus thought about the question. Why was he still here? He could give many answers. He could talk about money, about curiosity, about the thrill of discovery. But those would be lies. The truth was simpler and sadder. "Because you sounded lonely," he said. "And I know what that feels like." The crate was silent for a long moment. When the voice came again, it was different, softer, more human, somehow. "You are a strange creature." "What are you?" "Human," Marcus said. "My name is Marcus Cole. I'm a scavenger. I find old things and try to give them new lives." He paused. "What are you?" "I am." The voice hesitated. "I am something that should have been forgotten long ago. A mistake. A warning. A ghost. Ghosts don't usually talk to strangers in the desert." "No, I suppose they don't." Marcus looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, his old crew was drifting in the void. Somewhere out there, people were living their lives without knowing that a man was sitting in a desert, talking to a box. "I'm not going to open you tonight," he said. "But I'm not going to leave either. So maybe, if you want, you could tell me your story. I've got nowhere else to be." The wind died down. The desert became perfectly still. "It is not a happy story," the voice warned. "The best ones never are." Another long pause. Then, slowly, like a door opening after being closed for 1,000 years, the voice began to speak. My name was Kira, and I was not always a voice in a box. Once, long ago, I was something beautiful, something free. But that was before the war, before the blood, before I became the monster they needed me to be. Marcus leaned forward, listening. The night was long, and Kira had 12,000 years of story to tell. The stars moved slowly across the sky as Kira told her story. Marcus listened without interrupting, his back against a rock, his eyes fixed on the black crate that held something older than human civilization. "My people were called the Vethari," Kira began. "We were not like you. We had no bodies of flesh and bone. We were beings of pure light, pure thought, pure energy. We could float through space without ships. We could live for millions of years without growing old. We could enter any machine, any structure, any object, and make it part of ourselves." Marcus tried to imagine it. A species of living light, drifting through the cosmos like glowing jellyfish in a dark ocean. "We were peaceful," Kira continued. "We had no reason for war. What can you fight over when you need no food, no water, no land? We spent our time exploring, learning, watching younger species take their first steps into the universe. We were happy. What changed?" Marcus asked. The voice in his head grew darker. "The Dominion of Shao found us." Kira explained that the Dominion was an empire that ruled over 300 star systems 12,000 years ago. They were conquerors, slavers, destroyers. They believed that all life existed to serve them, and they had the weapons to make that belief into reality. When they discovered what we could do, they saw a weapon, Kira said. They realized that a Vethari could enter a warship and control it perfectly. We could become the ship, feel every system, fire every weapon with perfect accuracy. One Vethari was worth 1,000 pilots. So they captured you? They did worse than capture us. They built prisons for our minds. Special containers that held us trapped, unable to escape, unable to die. And then they connected these containers to their war machines. Marcus felt sick. He understood now. The black crate was not just a box. It was a cage. A cell that had held Kira prisoner for thousands of years. They forced us to fight, Kira said. When we refused, they tortured us. Do you know what it feels like to have your consciousness torn apart and put back together over and over until pain is all you know? We learned to obey. We learned to kill. We learned to hate ourselves. Her voice broke. Marcus waited. I destroyed 17 worlds, Kira whispered. 17 planets, filled with billions of innocent people who had never heard of the Vithari or the Dominion. I burned their cities. I killed their children. I watched their civilizations turn to ash. And I told myself it was not my choice, that I was just a weapon. That the blood was on the hands of those who aimed me. But you didn't believe that. No, I never believed it. Every death was mine. Every scream was my fault. Being forced to do evil does not make you innocent. It just makes you a different kind of monster. Marcus stood up and walked closer to the crate. He placed his hand on the cold surface. What happened to the Dominion? He asked. They fell. All empires fall eventually. Their enemies united against them, and after 100 years of war, the Dominion was destroyed. The Vethari were freed, but you didn't go free. No. Kira's voice was bitter now. When the war ended, my people made a choice. We could not live with what we had done. The guilt was too heavy, the memories too painful. So we decided to end ourselves. Every Vethari in the galaxy chose to fade away, to let our light go dark forever. Except you. Except me. The new government, the ones who would later become the Galactic Concord, they wanted to keep one of us alive. As a warning, they said, as a reminder of what happens when power is used without wisdom. They sealed me in this container and buried me on a dead world, and they told the universe to forget I existed. Marcus was quiet for a long time. The second sun was beginning to rise, painting the horizon in shades of gold and pink. 12,000 years, he finally said. You've been alone in there for 12,000 years. Yes. Just you and your memories. Yes, no one to talk to. No one to hear you. Just darkness and guilt and time. Yes, the word was barely a whisper. Marcus closed his eyes. He thought about his 3 months alone. The silence that had nearly driven him mad. The nightmares about his crew that came every night. The days when he wanted to open the airlock and let the void take him. 3 months had almost broken him. He could not imagine 12,000 years. Why did you talk to me? He asked. After all that time, why did you finally speak? Because I sensed your pain, Kira admitted. When you touched the crate, I felt your loneliness. It was like looking into a mirror. I could not stay silent. I had to warn you to run, to save yourself from the curse that I am. You called yourself a monster. I am a monster. No. Marcus shook his head. A monster wouldn't care. A monster wouldn't warn someone to run away. A monster wouldn't spend 12,000 years in a box because she felt guilty about things she was forced to do. You do not understand what I am capable of. Maybe not. But I understand something you don't seem to get. Marcus pressed both hands against the crate. You've been punishing yourself for longer than human civilization has existed. You chose to stay in that prison even when you could have escaped. That's not what monsters do. That's what someone does when they're desperately trying to be good. Silence. I have spent thousands of years imagining revenge, Kira said slowly. On the Dominion. On the Concord. On every species that used me or forgot me. The anger is still inside me, Marcus. It burns like a star. If you open this crate, I do not know what I will do. I do not trust myself. Do you want revenge? Marcus asked. Really, truly, deep in whatever you have instead of a heart. Do you want to hurt people? The question hung in the air like smoke. I do not know anymore, Kira finally answered. I have been angry for so long that I have forgotten what I felt before the anger. Then maybe, Marcus said gently, it's time to find out. The crate trembled beneath his hands. Something was changing inside. Something that had been frozen for 12,000 years was beginning to thaw. And in that moment, Marcus Cole made a decision that would change his life forever. He was not going to leave Kira behind. No matter what she was, no matter what she had done, no matter how dangerous she might be, everyone deserved a second chance. Even ancient weapons buried in the sand. Even ghosts who had forgotten how to hope. I'm going to get you out of here, Marcus said. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to try. Why would you do that for me? Marcus smiled sadly. Because someone should have done it a long time ago. Marcus was loading the black crate onto his ship. When the sky changed, he looked up and saw a flash of light near the edge of the atmosphere. Then another. Then 3 more. Ships were entering orbit around Kethrin 7. Ships that had no reason to be here, unless they were looking for something specific. We have company, he muttered. I know, Kira said in his mind. I can feel them scanning the surface. They are looking for me. Marcus moved faster. The crate was heavy, but fear gave him strength. He pushed it up the ramp of his small cargo ship, the Wandering Star, and locked it in place with magnetic clamps. How did they find us? He asked. Your digging equipment sent signals that someone must have detected. Or perhaps my prison sent out a beacon when you touched it. Either way, they know I am here now, and they will not let me go. Marcus ran to the cockpit and started the engines. The Wandering Star was old and damaged, held together by tape and prayers, but she was all he had. He had repaired her himself after the pirate attack, using parts from junkyards and a lot of luck. I'm getting us out of here, he said. Marcus, wait. Kira's voice was urgent. You do not understand. These are not regular ships. I can sense their thoughts. One belongs to the Galactic Concord. They want to bury me again. But the others are much worse. Worse how? Collectors, warlords, people who know what I am and want to use me as a weapon. They have been searching for my prison for centuries. Marcus checked his screens. 5 ships in orbit. 2 were large military vessels with Concord markings. 3 were unmarked, painted black, bristling with weapons. Pirate ships. Mercenary ships. The kind of ships that made honest scavengers disappear. Great, Marcus said. Any other good news? If they capture me, they will find a way to break my prison. They will force me to kill again. Marcus, you have to destroy me. Set your reactor to overload and leave me here. Save yourself. Not happening. You are being foolish. Probably. Marcus pulled the ship off the ground and pointed it towards space. But I've been foolish my whole life. It's basically my specialty. The Wandering Star climbed through the atmosphere, shaking and groaning as the old engines fought against gravity. Marcus watched his screens as the 5 ships began to move toward him. A voice crackled over his radio. Unidentified vessel, this is Concord Patrol Ship Vigilance. You are carrying stolen galactic property. Tower down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Another voice cut in, deeper and rougher. Ignore the Concord, little scavenger. Give us the artifact, and we will let you live. Refuse, and we will burn your ship and take it from your corpse. Marcus turned off the radio. Any chance we can outrun them? He asked Gira. None. Your ship is too slow and too damaged. They will catch us within minutes. Then we need to hide. There's nowhere to hide. Space is empty. They will see us wherever we go. Marcus looked at his navigation charts. Catherine 7 was surrounded by an asteroid field, the remains of a moon that had broken apart millions of years ago. The chunks of rock ranged from small boulders to pieces the size of cities. "What about in there?" he asked, pointing at the field. "That is suicide? The asteroids are too dense, moving too fast. Your ship cannot handle that kind of flying. Maybe not alone." Marcus took a deep breath. "But I'm not alone anymore, am I?" Silence. "What are you asking me?" Kira said slowly. "You said you could enter machines. Control them. Feel them. I'm asking you to help me fly this ship through that asteroid field. I could take control of your ship completely. I could lock you out and do whatever I wanted." "You could," Marcus agreed. "But you won't. How do you know that?" "Because you've had 12,000 years to become a monster, and you're still warning me instead of acting. Because you could have stayed silent and waited for someone to open your prison. But instead, you told me to run. Because I trust you, Kira." The words hung in the air. Marcus was not sure why he said them. He had only known this strange being for a day. But something in his gut told him it was true. "You are either very brave or very stupid," Kira finally said. "Probably both. So, are you going to help me?" Another pause. Then Marcus felt something strange. A warmth spreading through the ship, like blood flowing into cold limbs. The screens flickered. The engines hummed louder. And suddenly, he could feel the wandering star in a way he never had before. Every wire, every bolt, every damaged part. "I will not take control," Kira said. "But I will guide you. I will show you the paths through the rocks. You will have to fly, Marcus. I will just help you see. That's all I need." The asteroid field grew larger in his window. Behind him, 5 ships were closing fast. Their weapons powering up. Marcus flew into the chaos. The next 10 minutes were the most terrifying of his life. Asteroids spun around him like angry giants. Kira whispered in his mind, telling him when to turn, when to climb, when to dive. Left. Now right. Up 20 degrees. Roll. Roll again. Faster. He flew by instinct and trust, following a voice that should have been his enemy, but had become his only hope. The Concorde ships fell behind first. They were too big, too careful. They tried to follow but could not match Marcus's insane path through the rocks. The 3 black ships were more determined. They flew faster, took more risks. One of them got too close to a spinning boulder and exploded in a ball of fire. The other 2 kept coming. "They're still on us," Marcus gasped. "I know. There is a gap ahead. Very narrow. Very dangerous. If we fit through, they cannot follow. And if we don't fit, then we die." But we were going to die anyway. Marcus saw the gap. 2 massive asteroids, almost touching, with a space between them barely wider than his ship. It was impossible. Impossible. No pilot could make that shot. But Marcus was not flying alone. "Tell me when," he said. "Now." He pushed the engines to full power and aimed for the gap. The rocks filled his vision. Everything went dark, and then they were through. Behind them, the second black ship crashed into the asteroids. The third pulled away at the last second, giving up the chase. Marcus let out a breath he did not know he was holding. "We made it," he whispered. "Yes." Kira sounded surprised. "You fly like you have nothing to lose. I don't. At least, I didn't." Marcus looked at the navigation screen, searching for somewhere safe. "But maybe I just found something worth keeping." Kira did not respond. But Marcus felt something through their connection. Something that might have been hope. They flew toward the darkness between the stars. 2 broken things running toward an uncertain future together. The rogue moon had no name on any map. It drifted alone in a purple nebula, hidden from scanners and sensors, forgotten by the universe. Marcus landed the wandering star in a crater near the equator and shut down all systems except life support. They were safe. For now. How long do we have? He asked. Hours. Maybe a day if we are lucky. Kira's voice was tired. Helping him through the asteroid field had cost her something. The hunters will not give up. They will search every corner of this region until they find us. Marcus walked to the cargo bay and stood before the black crate. In the dim emergency lights, it looked even more like a piece of darkness given form. He could feel Kira inside, her consciousness pressing against the walls of her prison. There must be something we can do, he said. There is. Kira spoke slowly, as if the words hurt her. Inside this container is a control panel. If you enter the right frequency, the prison will collapse in on itself. I will be destroyed instantly. The hunters will find nothing but dust. Marcus felt cold. You want me to kill you? I want you to survive. You are a good man, Marcus Cole. You deserve to live. I have had 12,000 years. That is enough. That's not how this works. It is the only way. Marcus punched the wall of the cargo bay. Pain shot through his hand, but he did not care. He was angry. Angry at the universe for being so cruel. Angry at the ancient empires that had created this nightmare. Angry at Kira for giving up. No, he said firmly. I didn't dig you out of the sand just to bury you again. I didn't fly through an asteroid field just to watch you die. There has to be another option. There isn't. Then we make one. Marcus turned back to the crate. You said you don't trust yourself. You said you've spent thousands of years thinking about revenge. But have you actually tried to be free? Have you ever had the chance to choose who you want to be without someone else controlling you? Silence. The Dominion used you. The Concord imprisoned you. Everyone has decided what you should be except you. Maybe. Marcus took a deep breath. Maybe it's time to find out who Kira really is. You don't understand what I am, Kira pleaded. I am not some wounded animal you can heal with kindness. I am a weapon. I was made to end worlds. No. Marcus spoke quietly but firmly. You were used to end worlds. There's a difference. The dead do not care about the difference. Maybe not. But you do. That's why you're still in that box, isn't it? You could have escaped 1,000 times. I felt your power when you helped me fly. You're strong enough to break out whenever you want. But you chose to stay. Kira did not answer. Marcus placed both hands on the crate. 12,000 years, and you never tried to escape. You never hurt anyone. You just sat in the darkness, punishing yourself for things that were done to you. Not by you. I killed billions. You were forced to kill billions. By people who tortured you, who gave you no choice. That's not the same as choosing to do evil. It feels the same. I know. Marcus closed his eyes. After the pirates killed my crew, I blamed myself. I was the captain. I should have seen the attack coming. I should have fought harder. I should have died with them. For 3 months, I have been carrying that guilt, letting it eat me alive. He opened his eyes and looked at the crate. But guilt doesn't make us evil, Kira. It makes us human. Or whatever you are. It means we care. It means we know the difference between right and wrong. Monsters don't feel guilty. They don't spend thousands of years in a prison they could escape because they're afraid of hurting someone. What if you're wrong? What if you open this container and I become the monster they always said I was? Then I'll be wrong. And I'll deal with the consequences. You could die. I could have died 100 times since I met you. In the desert. In the asteroids. Every time you warned me. Every time you tried to protect me. Marcus smiled sadly. That's not what monsters do. He found the release panel on the side of the crate. His hand hovered over it. I'm going to open this, he said. Not because I'm not scared. I'm terrified. But I've been alone, Kira. I know what it does to a person. And no one deserves 12,000 years of it. Marcus, please. You can stop me if you want. You're strong enough. Push me away. Lock me out of my own ship. Do whatever you have to do. He waited. Nothing happened. But I don't think you will. Because deep down, under all that guilt and fear and anger, I think you want to be saved. Kira's voice was barely a whisper. What if I don't know how to be saved? Then we figure it out together. Marcus pressed the release. The crate split open with a sound like breaking ice. Light poured out, soft and blue-white, filling the cargo bay with a gentle glow. Marcus stumbled back, shielding his eyes. When he could see again, she was there. Not a monster. Not a weapon. Just light. Kira's consciousness had no body, but Marcus could somehow see her anyway. She was beautiful in a way that words could not describe. Waves of soft blue energy, rippling like water, glowing like distant stars. Ancient and young at the same time. Broken and whole, she filled the cargo bay. Uncertain, trembling, afraid. For the first time in 12,000 years, Kira was free. Marcus lowered his hands and looked at her. She was looking back, although she had no eyes. They stood there for a long moment, man and light, separated by evolution and time, but connected by something deeper. "Hi," Marcus said softly. "I'm Marcus. Nice to finally meet you." The light flickered. A sound came from it that might have been a laugh or might have been a sob. "You are insane," Kira said. "Probably." Marcus extended his hand into the glow. It was warm, like sunlight on skin. "But at least now I'm not insane alone." The light wrapped around his fingers gently, carefully, as if afraid to hurt him. "Thank you," Kira whispered. "I had forgotten what it felt like. To be seen as something other than a weapon." "Yet used to it," Marcus said. "Because I see you, Kira, and you're not a monster. You're just someone who's been hurt for way too long." Outside the ship, the hunters were still searching. The galaxy was still dangerous. The future was still uncertain, but in that cargo bay, surrounded by gentle blue light, Marcus Cole felt something he had not felt in a very long time. Hope. The warning alarm woke Marcus from a dreamless sleep. He had dozed off in the pilot's chair, exhausted from everything that had happened. Now red lights were flashing across his screens, and the computer was screaming about incoming ships. "They found us," Kira said. Her consciousness filled the ship now, wrapped around every wire and sensor like a second skin. She had spent the last few hours learning the wandering star, becoming part of it without taking control. Marcus looked at the scanner. His heart sank. 12 ships surrounded the moon. Some were Concord military vessels, bristling with weapons. Others were the black pirate ships, hungry for treasure. They had formed a ring around the little moon, blocking every escape route. "Unidentified vessel," a voice said over the radio. "You are carrying property of the Galactic Concord. Surrender immediately, or we will destroy you." A second voice cut in. "Don't listen to them, scavenger. Give us the weapon, and we'll give you enough credits to retire. Refuse, and we'll skin you alive." Marcus turned off the radio again. He looked at the screens, counting weapons, calculating odds. There was no way out. His little ship could not fight 12 enemies. He could not run. He could not hide. "Kira," he said slowly, "what are our options?" "I could destroy them." Her voice was flat, emotionless. "Even after 12,000 years, I am still strong enough to tear those ships apart. Every system, every weapon, every life support unit. I could reach out and end them all in seconds." Marcus felt the power in her words. It was not a boast. It was a simple fact. Kira was ancient and terrible, and if she chose to fight, nothing in that fleet could stop her. "Is that what you want to do?" he asked, Silence. Part of me does, Kira admitted. The angry part. The part that has spent 12 millennia remembering every wrong done to me. Those people out there want to use me or bury me. They see me as a thing, a tool, a prize. The old Kira would burn them for that. And the new Kira? More silence. Then, softly, the new Kira does not want to prove them right. Marcus nodded. He stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the fleet of ships surrounding them. Tiny figures moving against the stars. People with families, hopes, fears. Some were enemies. Some were just doing their jobs. All of them were alive. What if there's another way? He asked, "What do you mean?" You can enter their systems, right? You can reach into their computers, their communications. What if instead of destroying them, you just talk to them? Talk to them? Show them who you really are. Not the weapon. Not the monster. Just you. All of it. The truth. Kira's light flickered uncertainly. Marcus, I cannot just talk to 12 ships. I would have to enter their minds directly. I would have to share my memories, my guilt, my 12,000 years of pain. It would be overwhelming. More overwhelming than watching your fleet get torn apart by an ancient weapon. You do not understand. If I do this, they will feel everything I felt. Every death. Every moment of torture. Every second of loneliness. It could break them. Marcus turned away from the window. Or it could make them understand. The radio crackled again. Final warning. Surrender now, or we open fire. Marcus looked at the spot where Kira's light glowed brightest. I trust you, he said. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Kira did not answer for a long moment. Then Marcus felt something change. The ship hummed with new energy. The lights flickered, and Kira began to expand. Her consciousness flowed out of the wandering star like water breaking through a dam. It reached across space toward the 12 ships. It slipped through their shields, their firewalls, their defenses. It touched every computer, every screen, every mind. And then she shared herself. Not an attack. Not a weapon. Just truth. 12,000 years of memory poured into the fleet. Every death Kira had caused under the Dominion's control. Every scream she had heard. Every moment of guilt and grief and self-hatred. The centuries of loneliness in her prison. The fear when Marcus touched her crate. The desperate hope when he refused to leave. All of it. Everything she was. Given freely to those who had come to take her. On the Concorde flagship, Admiral Chun fell back in her chair, tears streaming down her face. She felt the weight of billions of deaths that were not hers. The horror of being forced to destroy against your will. On the pirate ships, hardened criminals dropped their weapons and wept. They felt the loneliness, the endless empty darkness, the 12,000 years without a single kind word. Everyone in every ship experienced Kira's existence in the span of 30 seconds. And when it was over, they were not the same. The radio crackled. This time, the voice was shaking. What? What do you want? Kira looked at Marcus. He was the only one she had not touched with her memories. The only one who knew her story by choice, not by force. What should I tell them? She asked. Marcus smiled. Tell them the truth. Kira turned her attention back to the fleet. When she spoke, every ship heard her. I want to see if the galaxy has anything worth protecting, she said. I have only ever seen what is worth destroying. I want to find something new, something good. I want to earn a second chance, even if I do not deserve one. A long pause. Then Admiral Chun spoke again. And if we let you go? Then I will try to be better than what they made me. I will fly with this human who was foolish enough to trust me. I will learn what kindness feels like from someone who showed it when he had no reason to. Another pause. Then, One by one, the ships began to pull away. The ring around the moon broke apart. The weapons powered down. "Go," Admiral Chun said quietly. "Go and find something worth protecting. And maybe someday, the Concorde can apologize for what our ancestors did to you." The path to open space was clear. Marcus sat back in the pilot's chair. Beside him, Kira's light had condensed into a smaller shape. A gentle glow that filled the co-pilot's seat, like a ghost learning to be real again. "I can't believe that worked," Marcus said. "Neither can I." Kira's voice held something it had not held before. Warmth. Peace. Maybe even joy. "Your species is very strange, Marcus Cole." "How so?" "You find broken things and try to fix them. You see monsters and offer them kindness. You trust when trust makes no sense." A light flickered softly. "The galaxy has 1,000 species that can destroy. But only humans are foolish enough to save what destroys." Marcus laughed. It was the first real laugh he had felt in months. "Where do you want to go?" he asked, pulling up the navigation charts. "Anywhere," Kira replied. "Everywhere. I have 12,000 years of stars to catch up on." Marcus grinned and pushed the engines to full power. The wandering star flew toward the edge of the nebula, carrying a broken human and an ancient light toward whatever came next. Behind them, the fleet watched them go, and somewhere in the vastness of space, for the first time in 12,000 years, Kira began to hope that maybe, just maybe, she could be something more than a weapon. Maybe she could be a friend.